Hello guys, so Chelsea will be facing PSG at the final, and in this video we are doing a part 1 of our 3-part series on how Chelsea can actually get the best out of Paris Saint-Germain. But the first thing that you have to know when you're facing such a team is to understand how PSG play. And in our video today in particular, we are going to analyze how good is PSG, looking at their strengths, looking at how Luis Enrique has managed to transform this team. Are we seeing Barcelona 2012, Barcelona Pep Guardiola 2.0 in this PSG side? And what threats do they bear for Chelsea in that final? So we are going to try and analyze this game, look at individual personnel, and Enrique has assembled a good team. With Donnarumma at the base of that team, you are probably seeing the best goalkeeper in world football. His kicking might have a problem, but his shot stopping is out of this world. Then proceeding on to the midfield with Vitinha there, being the anchor, being the metronome, being the one who the team actually moves around. We are seeing one of the best central midfielders. And going to the attack, where I believe the next Ballon d'Or winner, Luis Ousmane Dembele, is actually going to have a strong say in that competition. We are seeing a revitalized forward, a forward who had been plagued by injuries, but is now looking as a world-class player. And Chelsea are not weak. Chelsea are seeing a midfield of Fernandes and Caicedo stepping up, and Chelsea's record has been quite immense. But the question is, how good is PSG? Before we even start our analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Now, PSG's thrashing of Real Madrid came to some as a shock and as a reality. But let me tell you something. This did not happen because PSG are too good. Yes, they are too good, but it's mainly because of Real Madrid and the way Alonso actually set them up. Because Real Madrid are facing two things: personnel and structure problems. PSG in the first half dominated Real Madrid, and we are going to look at how PSG dominated Real Madrid and how they were able to get at Real Madrid and stop them from the start. And I'm going to tell you the mistakes that Real Madrid made, focusing more on PSG with possession. Now, PSG lined up with their 4-3-3, while Real Madrid lined up with their 4-4-2 diamond, more inclined towards having that diamond and no wingers. And this is where the problem started for Madrid, because PSG had width from their fullbacks. And you could understand that Alonso decided to use a diamond because he wanted to achieve two things. One, to stop the center backs from having the ball. And number two, to use Garcia to close down Vitinha, who is the metronome of the team. Now, here is where the problem started for PSG. The two players that Alonso trusted up front, Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr., are not good pressers of the ball. And therefore, even if the midfield backed up that press by covering the midfielders, the front line was not doing enough. As you can see here, the midfield is looking to cover, but look at the space that PSG's centre-backs are actually being allowed to operate in. And Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. are known to not be good pressers without the ball. So you have two luxury players in attack. And these two players are the ones that you have tasked to lead the press. And because Real Madrid understood that with their system, they will clamp out the midfield, their problems now started. Because Real Madrid's 4-4-2 diamond ensured that they covered PSG's midfielders and also had Tchouaméni looking to pick up Ousmane Dembele. That is, if Dembele decided to play as a false nine. But their problems now started because PSG focused more on stopping Real Madrid focused on stopping PSG through the middle. PSG had an advantage on their sleeves, and that advantage is actually so crucial, and that was the wide areas. The wide areas were now vacated, and you can see in this heat map how PSG dominated the wide zones of the pitch. Majority of their game did not play through the center. PSG looked to dominate the wide areas, and this is where players such as Achraf Hakimi actually got to dominate the game. Because of Real Madrid's narrow 4-4-2 diamond, PSG always had an outlet down the wide areas. And because of this, PSG's wide players, especially Hakimi, were receiving the ball without pressure and with space. And Bellingham in particular was now caught into two minds. You can see here, PSG have the ball. Mbappe is quite lethargic with his press to press the center back. And look at Hakimi. He's receiving the ball with acres of space. Now, once Hakimi receives this ball here, what it means now is that Bellingham was now the wide midfielder will have to shift across to cover, because the fullbacks cannot shift because they have been pinned down by the PSG wingers. And once he shifts out, space in midfield starts to open. And this is how PSG managed to constantly bypass this Real Madrid's press, because the front line was not quite aggressive. You can see here, Bellingham is supposed to cover, and you can see Dembele has now dropped into that false 9 position. Garcia is covering Vitinha, and now the ball has been shuffled out wide. Here again, PSG have the ball, Donnarumma has the ball, and you can see clearly that Mbappe is not looking to cover that passing lane and stop the ball from going to Hakimi. And now Hakimi is able to receive the ball and draw in Bellingham. Hakimi receives the ball, Bellingham is late on him, and now he's able to play the ball to Ousmane Dembele, and Dembele now is able to play the ball to Doué, because they understood that they would always drag Real Madrid midfielders out of the midfield. And this sometimes will now open up spaces in the far side area, because now the right-sided overload created by Hakimi and Duo and Dembele also dropping deep ensured that Real Madrid committed a lot of players. And if they didn't, then Duo would pull Garcia out and actually flick the ball on to Hakimi. And that's why we saw time and time again Hakimi constantly having this wide space. And it's something that Maresca will have to deal with, so that Hakimi cannot get this space to actually operate and look to receive the ball in acres of space and look to whip in crosses. So Hakimi's position draws in a fullback. He plays the ball onto Duo, and the ball is played in the box. And look, immediately the ball is played, PSG flood the box with a lot of numbers, because they know that the cutback is coming. And once this cutback is made, you notice one thing. They are quick to pounce, they are quick to flood the 6-yard box, and they are quick to attack and actually score a goal. And that's how they scored a quick goal. The cutback is made, Rudiger is not able to intercept that ball, and now the ball falls. And now PSG have enough players, because even Ruiz has joined the attack. Ruiz, the midfielder, has joined the attack, and Kvaratskhelia is holding the width down the other side. A simple pass, and boom, PSG score the first goal of the game. And this is intricate, because you can see the way PSG were able to manipulate the wide areas that Real Madrid did not actually manage to close down. Now we move on to the next way that PSG are very strong, and how they look to always manipulate the opponent. And this is the third man runs. You see, the third man runs are something that a lot of teams are failing to deal with when it comes to PSG. And Real Madrid experienced this, especially when they used their system. Now, PSG, when they had the ball, they moved into that back three, with Vitinha only being the solo pivot, and PSG using a front four. Even sometimes you started to see PSG dropping one of their midfielders deep and using their front three to pin the opposition backline deeper. And because Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. were not quite aggressive, PSG would spread their back three and look to again move around Real Madrid rather than move through them. It was like cutting hot knife through butter. And once the the winger would drop deep and drag the fullback inside, what we noticed is that the wingers will be making runs outside, especially Kvaratskhelia. And these are the third run man combinations that you're seeing. A player drops deep, receives the ball. Once he receives the ball, he drags a defender deep. And once that defender is dragged deep, then they have runners making runs in the far post area, especially looking to try and create those overloads. And now you can see, look at this Real Madrid's backline. It is disoriented. It's not in line. And now you're even seeing this midfielder who's here is looking to try and move to cover Hakimi. And once he's covering Hakimi, he's actually playing the other opposition player on side. And just a simple third man combination play, and PSG are able to score their second goal. And PSG kept on doing this in the first half time and time again. And it all came from overloads being created in the wide area by Hakimi and Kvaratskhelia holding the width, something that Real Madrid did not have, in particular during attack. And one of the problems that Madrid faced is the laxity of their front two players. Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe did not do much in helping their team, because despite the positions that they took, which they should have been applying pressure to the wide centre-backs and the central centre-back, Garcia decided to step out to apply the pressure. And this is where problems even started, because now Vitinha was now free to receive the ball, as you can see here. And once Vitinha is receiving this ball, Real Madrid's midfield three is not able to actually step out to stop Vitinha from receiving the ball, because immediately they step out, then gaps open for Dembele to drop deep. Vitinha is able to receive this ball, he's able to play the ball on to Neves, and now look at how Real Madrid's backline has been disoriented. This is Real Madrid's backline in a defensive approach, and you can clearly see how it has been disoriented, and now PSG are the ones who are looking to attack. Vitinha receives the ball, looks to play the ball in field, especially to Du. Du is able to receive the ball, play the ball to Achraf Hakimi. Hakimi receives the ball, draws in a fullback out of position, and now they drag the entire Madrid's defense line onto one side, and they are now able to whip in quick switches of play to Kvaratskhelia and actually dominate Real Madrid. The game was lost by Real Madrid by their press and their inability to cover. Sometimes Real Madrid would win the ball back off PSG and look to transition, but again, PSG were quite different in the way they attacked. They just maintained a narrow structure and they trusted Donnarumma. But what if I told you that this PSG team can actually be caught? We saw Bayern Munich doing it for close to 80 minutes, and we saw Real Madrid do it in the second half. So what is this that Alonso and company did that stopped PSG? Because as good as PSG were, as poor as Real Madrid were with their overall structure and their personnel in this game, PSG's Achilles heel was exposed in the second half. PSG actually looked likely to be caught up in the second half. And why is this so? How did Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Botafogo, and Aston Villa stop this PSG side? Because this PSG side can be stopped, and there is a structure and there is a way you play to actually stop them. And guess what? That is a blueprint that Enzo Maresca has to implement in the final. Now, a lot of you are asking me, what is this way of stopping PSG? How do you stop them? There is a way to stop them. And guess what? I have that answer for you. But you're not going to get that answer now, but you're going to get it in our next video. As in our next video, we look at how you're going to stop PSG, and we look at how Maresca can do it. Leave your comments in the comment section area below. In this video in particular, I just wanted to show you how good PSG are, the threats that they offer, and then do the next video, because analyzing PSG is a huge thing. It's a video that can take up to 30 minutes, but it's better if we do it one step at a time. Leave your comments in the comment section area below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.